a thank you rally on Sunday said ZANU-PF invited sanctions on Zimbabwe through stopped, said Dr. Michael Ryan with the World Health Organization. Since the outbreak started in August 2018, more than 1,100 people have died, making this the second deadliest Ebola outbreak in history, said the International Federation of the Red Cross and the Red Crescent Societies, IFRC, last Thursday. Data from the DRC's Ministry of Health shows that 20% of the new infections occurred over the past 3 weeks. Some experts said this outbreak may reach the scale of the West African one, which ended in 2016 and claimed the lives of more than 11,000. And the news continues after the short break. U.S. Secretary of State Mike Pompeo on Tuesday, the 14th of May, said Washington stood ready to find common ground with Russia. Pompeo is in the Russian-backed ski resort of Sochi for talks with his Russian counterpart and is also expected to hold with Ukraine's new president to bring peace to eastern Ukraine.
We had a frank discussion about many issues, including many places where we disagree. The United States stands ready to find common ground with Russia. As long as the two of us can engage seriously on those issues. President Trump's made clear that his talked about
traditional motorcade. We've got business news. We'll be right
in the same quarter of last year. However, relative to the preceding quarter, the fourth quarter of 2018, the real GDP growth rate declined by negative 0.38%. Here to speak with me on this is Mr. Seun Akinrinye. He works at PricewaterhouseCoopers. Thank you for joining me in the studio.
Thank you.
So basically, we have seen, let's talk about quarter on quarter now. We saw that in Q4 of 2018, our GDP recorded by National Bureau of Statistics was 2.38%. Now we're recording 2.01%. What does this invariably mean for our economy?
Okay, so the fact that the GDP dropped from 2.38 to 2.01% when you compare Q4 of 2018 to Q1 of 2019 is something the authorities should be concerned about. You know, it says instead of us growing at marginally, the GDP dropped. However, looking at the same period for last year, which is Q1 for 2018 now, we can see a marginal growth from a 1.89% to 2.01, which is like 0.12 points increase. So the implication of this is that although quarter on quarter, like the last quarter compared to this quarter, there has been a drop, but when you do a year-on-year comparison with last quarter, there has been an increase. And one of the things to what they have mentioned with the recent GDP report is the fact that non-oil sector grew, you know, by 2.47%, which means, you know, and the other things other than oil grew, and this increment was caused by increase in information and communication technology sector, trade and construction, agriculture. Agriculture as well also grew. So these are good things to take note of. These are positives to take away from the recently released report.
All right, so, but then we see some analysts are still saying that for the fact that our GDP is at 2.01%, it most likely would not have a significant impact on the economy, because obviously our population rate is growing higher than our GDP.
Yeah, and I think the analysts that have said that, they are quite right, because when you look at the fact that instead of us sustaining the growth we've been having all through last year, there's been a slight decline. And considering the fact that the rate of our population growth is far higher than 2.01%. But at the same time, I also think we need to give some commendation to those running the economy, because, you know, consider the fact that we went into recession about 2 years ago and we came out of it, and we've been growing at a steady rate up until Q1 2019. And you can also take out the fact that elections, the 2019 elections might have been a reason for this slight reduction in growth. Consider the fact that, you know, there were declared public holidays, a lot of business activities, people were kind of skeptical about what the election outcome will be. So that might be a reason. So we should obviously look forward to Q2 of 2019 before we can really say whether we are growing or we are declining. Okay,
so I hope we'd probably have to wait for Q2 results then. But okay, let's just move towards the reports by Tunde Fowler, the chairman of the Federal Inland Revenue Service. He did mention that the revenue generated from the non-oil sector grew by 11%. That's the tax returns, right? But then, isn't this still a far cry from expectations, you know? Although he says that the return during this time period was 1.5 trillion naira.
Okay, so I mean, I think there has been a slight increase in what the revenue FRS generated when compared for this quarter compared to the same quarter last year, which might be as a result of the increase in the level of aggressiveness of the FRS. You know, the FRS has been aggressive in recent times, going after people that are owing taxes and also trying to increase the tax net. So I think that's something what they have mentioned. Even though if you look, if they've generated 1.5 million in Q1 of 2019, and they have a budget to generate over I think 8.3 trillion for the whole year, we can say it might be difficult for them to achieve the annual over 8 trillion budget they intend to achieve. But I think we should still watch. It's expected that by Q2 of 2019, there should be an increase in what the FRS will generate, because for companies with year end of 31st December 2018, for example, the period they're expected to file their returns will be 30th June of 2019. So a lot of companies will be paying taxes within this period. So we expect that the Q2 revenue results of the FRS should increase significantly.
But one last question before we go. We're out of time now. Do you really think that
even if they won't be able to meet the 8 trillion, the 8 trillion, like I have mentioned some times ago, is a tough one, and we will be observing and watching how this plays out.
All right, then let's watch and see. Thank you very much for joining me.
Thank you.
And that's all on Business News on this hour. Still ahead on Plus TV Africa is our roundup on entertainment and sports. We'll be back in a moment.
Today on the program, our guest is a retired Nigerian police officer who served as the 18th Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, IGP Solomon Arase.
Insurgency in the northeast, where it is geolocated, is an asymmetric warfare. Police officers who you post on the highway, after 8 hours, sometimes, they suffer some temporary insanity. The stun gun reduces fatalities. It's not as an AK-47 that kills you. When you are going to recruit policemen, get the best from the market. It is not the numeric strength of the policemen that matters. It is the quality of the policemen that matters. Some people cannot manage stress, and the only way they can manage it is to take solace either in alcohol or drugs.
Premiering this Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. with a repeat broadcast at 8:30 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
And in entertainment, veteran musician Friday Igwe, popularly known as Baba Fryo, who was famous in the 90s for releasing popular songs, has recently revealed that he was brutally assaulted by unknown soldiers in Lagos. He made the revelation via his Facebook page, posting images of a graphic nature which showed his battered face. According to his post, he tried to force the unknown soldiers back to the barracks, but a female soldier hindered him from doing so and allowed them to escape. The case is currently being investigated. Still on entertainment, Naira Marley has been charged before a federal high court sitting in Lagos for alleged internet fraud. On Monday, the 20th of May 2019, the singer was brought into the court premises by officials of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission. He was dressed in a white t-shirt and a pair of
NYSC problem and this and that. One of the reasons why we don't have more women in politics in Nigeria is for as long as political meetings continue to take place in the middle of the night.
Exactly.
Really disastrous for a president
to even say
to be
he's
unaware of the chief
It's
justice.
a ploy. It could be a strategy.
That strategy was
Backfired.
terrible strategy because the buck stops at your table.
Whether it's that we don't look after our cities, and quite frankly, Nigeria is becoming a very ugly place.
When you are the only one feeding the people with this news and there is nobody countering them, it becomes, the news.
Sees it for upcoming artists to blow in Nigeria.
Welcome to Plus Trending. I am Vicky November, your host, saying thank you for joining us on today's episode.
Welcome back. It's tea time on Plus TV Africa.
Practice makes perfect. I'm not perfect yet, but I'm a lot better than I used to be.
He's a king. He's entitled to marry 100 if he wants to.
Today on the program, our guest is a retired Nigerian police officer who served as the 18th Inspector General of the Nigerian Police, IGP Solomon Arase.
Insurgency in the northeast, where it is geolocated, is an asymmetric warfare. Police officers who you post on the highway after 8 hours, sometimes they suffer some temporary insanity. The stun gun reduces fatalities. It's not as an AK-47 that kills you. When you are going to recruit policemen, get the best from the market. It is not the numeric strength of the policemen that matters. It is the quality of the policemen that matters. Some people cannot manage stress, and the only way they can manage it is to take solace either in alcohol or drugs.
Premiering this Wednesday at 12:30 p.m. with a repeat broadcast at 8:30 p.m. on Plus TV Africa.
Country people, we dey thank you now.
Whatever our past mistakes have been,
We can be much more than we are. We should be doing a lot in refineries.
and we are definitely investing in our staff. We're training, we're developing, we're creating.
Time to bring you the biggest entertainment stories. I am Elsie Godwin, and here with me to analyze money will go a long way to helping them do more, or even for their school, right? But this is coming as a surprise. I don't know. Ife, what's up?
Well, most times, to me, I think Davido does these things deliberately because already you guys are talking about it that he hasn't given them the money because Davido can just give you 1 million like that, but it lets it delay for a while. Look at Shoki Shita, and then everybody started talking about it like you haven't given Davido his money. I mean, you haven't given Shoki the money, and it created a buzz for him one way or another. So Davido likes being in the news, so I think this is another way of staying relevant. He's in the news for this, and then it's good for him. It's good business. He'll probably pay them by tomorrow.
What do you think he's going
I don't think he's doing that so he could be in the news. I think Davido will be in the
Someone asked.
This is not the first time we've been seeing cases like this, copyright infringement from different artists, especially when you use it without their permission.
because when you say someone is sampling your music, it's more technical than that. So they've recorded just the instrumental and are picking up on the tunes of instrumentals and stuff like that. So I guess it's a lot harder. When I personally heard it, I didn't find any similarities. So I kept wondering if it's not about the sound, there wouldn't there was no sign of him copying that, he wouldn't have even been able to.
10 years. I'm saying this from Nigeria's point of view.